Hey friends, this video is only for my fans from Ohio. If you're not from Ohio, feel free to move along unless you care to stick around and hear about the most absurd income tax system in the country. I wanted to make this video to explain RITA taxes. So the name RITA stands for the Regional Income Tax Agency. They're just the company that does the collecting and the customer service for towns and cities across Ohio. Ohio is unique in that it does allow local towns and cities to have their own separate income taxes. Most cities and towns in Ohio that have local taxes do administer them through RITA, but not all. Some of the larger cities do have their own income tax authority that handles it themselves outside of RITA. When you're trying to figure out which local taxes you might owe in Ohio, you have to look at the city or town that you live in, as well as the city or town that you work in. If you work in a city that has local income taxes in Ohio, your employer should be withholding taxes from your paycheck every week and paying your local income taxes for you. So at the end of the year, you should not owe any additional taxes to the city that you work in. But if you live in a different city than you work in, you may owe extra money to the city that you live in. If you're wondering if you've paid local income taxes in the city that you work in, you should take a look at your W-2 that you got from your employer. At the bottom of your W-2, you want to look at boxes 18, 19, and 20. Box 18 will show your total wages in the local city, 19 will show how much tax was withheld for that city, and 20 will show the name of the city. Now, how do you figure out if you owe taxes to the city that you live in? Well, first of all, you need to figure out which taxable city you live in, and that's not always clear depending on where you live. So the best way to figure this out is to Google Ohio Tax Finder, and that will take you to this page. The State of Ohio Finder helps you figure out which tax district you live in. So you're gonna click on municipal tax, then it'll ask you if you wanna look up by address or zip code. I suggest using your full address. Then you're gonna type your address in, and then it'll ask you for what month or year. Make sure you're choosing the year of taxes that you're doing. So it's 2023 now, but we'd be looking at doing 2022 taxes, and then click look up. And right here, it's gonna tell us what municipal taxes are owed there. So this address is in the municipality of Avon, and the income tax rate is 1.75%. And I'll show you what you need to do with that in a second. Next, you're gonna wanna look at the RITA website. The RITA website is just ritaohio.com. And there's lots of good information here. You can see which cities are included in RITA right here. You can see a map of RITA places, and I'm gonna click right here for tax rates. And make sure you're looking at the right year, so I'm gonna click on 2022. So this tax rate table is gonna tell you the tax rate for the city that you live in and what sort of credit they might give you for the city you work in and the money you already paid to the city you work in. So in my example, I was looking at the city of Avon. Their tax rate is 1.75, and they give you a credit of up to 1.5%, and they give you 100% of that amount. If you worked in a city that maybe had a 2% tax rate and you live in Avon, they're gonna give you credit for 1.5%, and then you're gonna have to pay that 0.25%. And you would have to pay that directly to RITA for the city of Avon every year. Now, some cities are not very generous with the amount of credit they'll give you for paying in your other city. So for example, let's say someone worked in Cuyahoga Falls. They pay a tax rate of 2% on their paycheck to Cuyahoga Falls. But let's say they live in Cleveland Heights. Cleveland Heights has a 2.25% tax rate, but they only give you a credit of up to 1%, which is up to 50% of what you paid your employer. So if you paid 2% to your employer, you're only getting a 1% credit towards your home. So that means you're gonna have to pay 1.25% to Cuyahoga Heights at the end of the year. And if you're going to be owing to your home city every year, RITA does expect you to prepay that amount. So when you file for last year, you can prepay for the whole next year, or you can pay in quarterly payments through the next year. You can't just wait until the end of the year every time, or you're going to have penalties. So who needs to file RITA taxes? Essentially, if you live in a RITA city and you're over 18, you're going to need to file. There are some exceptions to this, including some retired people, but for the most part, if you're over 18, you live in a RITA city, you have to file. If you work in a RITA city, but you do not live in a RITA city, you probably do not have to file, assuming your employer has done things correctly. Now, if you do need to file RITA taxes, it actually is very easy to do it on the RITA website. They have a fast file up here, or you can click down where it says individuals, file your taxes, and you can set up an account and do your filing right through there. You need to do your federal and state taxes first, and then you're going to need that 1040 form, any Schedule Cs, W-2s, 1099s, all your major tax forms, bring those with you. But the RITA taxes, they really just want the bottom number of how much did you make last year, and they're gonna take the percentage. It's really pretty simple. And if you do have questions about your RITA taxes, their customer service actually is very good. You can call them on the phone, they'll talk you through everything, or they even have local offices that you can walk into and you don't need an appointment. My best piece of advice though is if you do get a letter from RITA saying that you need to file or that you owe money, do not ignore it. They are a lot more aggressive than the IRS. I hope this was helpful to my Ohio friends. If you're getting ready to file your taxes, check out my roundup of the best tax software for this year. I'm gonna put that link right here for you.